everybody, and welcome to another episode of Trendy with Allison. And today's guest, you guys, this is very special because he comes to us by way of the waters through London. You're from the UK, right, Joseph?
Correct. I am from the United Kingdom.
Oh, I love that. So my guest today, you guys, is Joseph. He caught my eye by his ability to create amazing bridal styles and updos. That's how I first started following you, Joseph. And, you make it look effortless, of course.
Thank
Your
you.
eye for detail and precision is beyond my personal comprehension. And your mastery with those bobby pins makes my head spin, like literally. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Joseph.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Of course. So let's start off with your backstory, your background. Okay. How did you and your hands come to be?
So I knew I always wanted to be a hairdresser, right from being around about like 11, 12. My mum's a hairdresser, so I grew up sort of like being in the salon, with her, and after school I used to get dropped off there and I used to have to sit in the back. So I sort of like, it's always been there. It's always been a part of my life, really. I don't know any sort of like different that way, but yeah, so as I got to like about 11 and 12, that's when I started to think, I want to be a hairdresser. This is what I want to do. And my mum and dad weren't too sold on the idea. They was a little bit sort of like, oh no, you don't want to do hairdressing. You don't want to go down that path. And I was like, I do. That's what I want to do. And as I got older, sort of like 13, I actually sneakily applied for a job at where my mum was working, but I did it just straight through the boss. I just sort of like, she said, oh, well, why don't you be a Saturday boy? And I went, yeah, I'll do it. So it's sort of like, my mum didn't really, she was a bit sort of like blindsided, I think, by that. But so I started working there on a Saturday, and then like a Friday after school, and I did my work experience there. And I loved it. I loved just being in that environment. And it was just the atmosphere of like working as a team, because there was about like 6 girls there, and then me, the only boy. But it was a lovely, lovely environment to be in. And as I progressed, sort of like there, when I got to like leaving school, so like for us, that's like 16, and we're allowed to sort of like come out of school education. That's when my mum and dad sat me down and they said, if you want to do hairdressing, you've got to do it somewhere good. And I think sort of like that was no shade to like where my mum was working, but it was such a small salon. It was a lot of like,
mom and pop.
Yeah, exactly. So I then obviously they made me apply to a salon in my area, and it is one of the leading salons in the UK.
Now, what salon would that have been?
So it's Mark Leeson, and it is in Mansfield in Nottinghamshire, but it's to say where it is, because it's in sort of like a small town, but it has got such a big name and a massive reputation, so especially in the British hairdressing industry. So I went there. I didn't know that I'd get the job because I thought they're never going to want me. They're never going to want this.
We always think that, don't we? Like we have that imposter syndrome. Like why me, right?
Yeah, I literally went there. I mean, it's a gorgeous salon. At the time, it glowed pink because it got like these pink sort of like fluorescent lights that went around the top. It was like really wow factor because we're back in 2007 at this point, and I thought they're never going to have me. They're just going to sort of like turn me away. And I did. I got a 3-month trial there, and I still didn't think I'd get through that. But it was hard work. Like that 3-month trial was grueling. It was hard work. It was a lot of training. But
were they teaching you, Joseph? Were they teaching you hair cutting, coloring, and everything? Or
yes,
was it?
It was like a full like apprenticeship, to be in a full apprenticeship. So you'd sort of like got to get past this first 3 months, and then you get a full-time apprenticeship for 2-3 years, whichever it be. But in that 3 months, it was just the basics. It was literally just blow drying. 3 months was literally just, mastering that blow dry, getting the arms up high, getting it smooth, so you could do the perfect blowout. But it was hard, but it was the best training that I could have asked for. And then I got the 3 month trial, and I have been there ever since. I've been there 17 years now, so it's a long time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's so rare today that someone would stay at a salon for 17 years. It's rare that there's actually a salon still functioning for 17
Yeah.
years with salon suite places popping up here. I don't know if that's popular over in the UK.
What is that? Sorry. So what's?
Salon suites. So here in the
Oh,
States, you have these it's more popular than working in a salon, is that
okay.
you work in a studio, like a salon studio.
Ah,
It's one community, yeah, and then there are little rooms
I get you.
that they call studios. So you're really running your own business, but you're still working in a community, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there is some of that sort of like over here. And I think there's a lot more people going self-employed, definitely.
Yeah,
It's such, I think that is definitely like the way that the industry's going, I think,
right.
seems to be. But I think for me being in the salon, what they have given me and offered me has been something that I couldn't maybe get on my own. I mean, I have travelled the world. I've been over to New Orleans and I've worked there. I've been to Spain, to Germany. I've been all over the world for such like amazing like shows, seminars, photo shoots, and it's been such just a roller coaster ride, really. So I'm very
You know,
grateful.
you know what? I think that's amazing, first of all. I've been a salon owner in the past of 2 big salons. They were successful. I'm in a salon studio now because I've been in it for 29 years. So this is my little
Yeah,
homage to I'm on my way out, at
right.
some point in the near future. So I want it easy peasy lemon squeezy right now.
Yeah,
But I will say it would be interesting to kind of have someone like whoever owns your salon on,
yeah,
just because it's such a it's almost a lost opportunity anymore because people don't even go for the opportunity, which your salon owner has obviously cracked the code of what it
yeah.
takes to have a successful booth rental salon. I'm assuming you're booth rental. I'm assuming you're not paying commission, right? To
No,
work
we get
there?
paid. We get paid commission.
Really? Oh, I
Yeah,
really need to talk to whoever owns your salon.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a connect. I love to pick that person's brain.
there's about 20 of us that work there in total, and there's people who's been there longer than me. There's Sean who's been there 20 years, Terry's been there 20 years,
That's
and then
incredible.
below me you've got like Olivia. Abby's just celebrated 10 years. Olivia's been there like I think 12. So there's such, and like the young girls that are starting like as apprenticeships now, they've all been there like 3-4 years. So
Yeah, I mean, whoever, like I said, uh, hats off
yeah.
because that speaks volumes as to the leadership that you guys, must be under working there.
100%. It is such
Yeah,
we're such a tight unit, and we get on really well, and it's a well-oiled machine, and I think that's
yeah,
why it works so well.
yep,
Because
yeah,
I mean, Mark's been doing it for 40 years. He's been in hairdressing. He's just celebrating 40 years this year, and he's got a well-oiled machine.
Ah, well, hats off to him. Tell him I said congrats.
I
So,
will.
Joseph, how did you transition then? We know you learned all the things you had to
Mm,
go through, like what I had to go through back in my day. I started with Tony and Guy. It was rigorous.
yeah,
You had to master those cuts or else you did not touch any human's head, right?
exactly.
That wasn't
Yes.
your model, rather.
No.
Today, they just see a 30-second real and all of a sudden they're educated, or so they
Yeah.
think they are, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anywho, how did you end up specializing in bridal styles and updos and those specialty styles that you make look easy, by the way, and I know they're
Thank
not.
you. No. Well, I think it sort of happened basically during lockdown, so COVID. So I'd never been one that enjoyed doing hair ups, because I think when we're training, I don't know what it is like in the States, but you don't get a lot of hair up training. It's
No.
quite basic.
Mm-mm.
It's quite minimal. It's a bit like, can you do a vertical roll? Can you do this? Tip, tip,
It's
tip.
almost an education, like an afterthought. Well, let me teach them
Exactly.
how to do a curl real quick, and then we'll get
Yes.
back into color and cutting.
Yeah, it's like the colour and the cutting, they're the top blocks, and then
Correct.
everything else is sort of like lowered down. But as for getting into the hair ups, we went into lockdown, and I'm someone that doesn't like to sit still. I like to be doing something all the time. I like to be quite busy. So I was like, what can I do? I want to do something. So I invested in a mannequin, and I thought, I'm going to master hair ups. And so I basically started watching YouTube and, you know, TikTok, Instagram, and I started researching. I started ordering lots of books off Amazon about, you know, hair ups, right from sort of like the 60s to sort of like now, just to sort of like get a little bit of knowledge. And it basically, I started to realize as I was working on the mannequins that it wasn't that I wasn't any good at them. It was the fact that I had, it's the pressure of them.
Yes.
You know, like when you're doing them and you've got the client sat there, it's that pressure of them watching, other people watching. Is it any good? Do I know what I'm doing? So for me to be in sort of like my own home and just having a play, I was like, I'm really quite good at this. This is, you know, I'm not
Yeah.
bad.
When I'm not getting pushback, especially, I can relax and lean into it.
Exactly. That was it. And I could take my time, and I found myself that I was really enjoying it. And then obviously lockdown was very mundane. It was, you know, day in, day out. So I then started to think, right, okay, well, I'm going to do this tomorrow, and I'm going to create that hair up then. And I started just learning and learning. And then I started to film myself doing it, because I thought, if I have learned from these videos and from other people, I want to pass that on to other people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that makes perfect sense. And I think a lot of content creators emerged in 2020 because there was nothing else to do but to watch streaming services or YouTube. And, you know, I have to backtrack a little bit. What I said to preface that question is that I guess those of us that are visual learners, we can watch a YouTube and learn, such as you said that you just did, and read a book and actually pick up a skill. However, I think that foundation was already laid for you.
Yes.
In order to give you that ability to just kind of make it your own or put your own spin into it.
100%. Because I think I couldn't have not done my hairdressing background and gone straight to that, because I think you've got to know hair. And I think that's what you spend all that time doing. And obviously, like being trained by Mark and things, that's what he trained me to do. It was to know hair, to know sort of like the way that it falls, and the way that if you cut this, this is what this is going to create. So you've got to have all that methodical there. So I think you can't, in my personal opinion, I don't think you could just, you know, be a complete novice to the hair world and suddenly. But then again, saying that, I've had a lot of makeup artists message me and say, oh my God, I'm now offering hair while I'm doing the makeup from watching your videos. And I'm like, amazing, great. You know, if you
I think practice makes perfect. And, you know, but I still stand by something about actually knowing hair and understanding the fabric of hair. And that, first of all, that it is fabric. And that's why you can manipulate it the way you manipulate it and it going in, right?
100%.
So let's talk about your professional techniques and styles. You showcase a variety of updo styles and hot tool work. What are some of your go-to techniques for creating these stunning bridal looks?
So I think a definite thing is to always have 5 key looks that you can do like off the back of your hand. You know, so like I definitely always think, so I always try and perfect 5 of something that's current. So, you know, like trends wise. So like one of my favorite ones to do is, at the minute, it's a bit like the Pamela Anderson, but 2024. You know, so up on top of the head, you know, sort of like, but it's all about creating.
Oh, you're talking about like just kind of where it looks messy, piled up on top of the head? Okay.
Yeah. that kind of look. So it seems to be like, if you look at like red carpet stuff, there's a lot of sleek, but there's also a lot of like get it piled up. So like a pile up, get it all on there. But I think there's a very fine line between messy and textured, like, and done well.
It is true. Like a controlled, we call it a controlled mess.
Yes, exactly. You want a controlled mess. Like, you want something that looks like, they've thrown their hair up, but wow, don't that look good?
Exactly.
So I think to achieve that, I think it's a lot about working with the hair, working with what you've got, and knowing the expectations of what's there. So if I obviously, when I'm working on a mannequin, I've got a blank canvas, which has necessarily not got flaws. Like, people's hair does have breakage, or it's got layers.
Sure. Yep.
So like, I obviously understand that. And when I'm working on my clients, I've just done a bridal trial today for my best friend. She gets married soon. So when I was working with her, we've done a bit of like an updo. It's quite high on her head. Like I probably shouldn't have said that, should I? Because it's that's giving away a wedding secrets. But
well, hopefully they haven't found this YouTube show just yet. And when is her wedding?
28th of July.
Oh, okay. So it may air even the 1st of August, because
perfect.
You may not even make.
I'm not in trouble. I can keep my head.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So like, for instance, like doing that, obviously we have to work with her hair type and know what is accessible and whether we've got to add extra hair in. So I think that is really important when creating these looks, is to be realistic. It's like one of the most requested, or has been in the past, is the big mermaid braids where they're really quite big and thick.
Yes.
There's lots of hair.
What did you call them, Joseph?
I call it like a mermaid braid.
Oh, mermaid. Yes.
Yeah, like a big, and there's all plaits in it and stuff.
Yep.
It's like no one has got relatively that much hair where.
True.
Odd people, will have, but 8 times out of 10. You're going to need to be adding hair. So it's, again, if somebody wants that, make sure that like you've discussed that with them. Like, if we're wanting this, we're going to need to be getting in
so
some
do
extra
you
hair.
in that scenario, do you, as a bridal stylist, in your toolkit, like, by the way, quickly, what's in your toolkit?
Oh God, loads.
All is it like the size of a large suitcase?
So I've got a spare room in my house which I've turned into what I call my studio, and it's all like lit up, and it's all got bits where I can take pictures, etc. But I have got everything that you can think of. I have got every size of curling iron, everything. So when I'm packing to go and do a bridal, either a wedding day or a shoot or whichever, I'm literally like, right, what style am I creating? And I have some go-tos, so I have some favorites. So I always like a really big tongue, like as in like a 32 millimeter. I'm still trying to find a bigger one that really holds the heat. So that is a key. If anyone does know one out there, I would.
Are you calling? Are you referring to a flat iron when you say tongue?
No, like a curling iron.
Oh, the barrel. Okay.
Yeah, like a barrel. Like, I want one that's like about like an inch and a bit, really quite big, 62 millimeter, I think, or something like that. I want something that's a bit bigger, because I just want that's for like that big bouncy look. But I've got loads, like brushes. I love GHD. GHD is really big over here in the UK. We've got their flat irons are great. I always take one of them with me.
It's big here too.
Is it? Yeah. So like, GHD is really good. I use their tongs mostly. They've got the curve. So I've got the 28 millimeter, the 32 millimeter. They're great. They come with me pretty much everywhere, because I think, especially if you want like a tighter curl, the 28 millimeter, perfect for that. Especially if you've got that hair that doesn't hold, it's really good to go smaller sections, smaller barrel, and then when you brush it out, you get that really nice Hollywood movement to it.
Is that how what are your 5 looks? When you said you have 5 go-to, like what are the 5 top looks?
So at the moment for me, 100% number 1 is the pile up. So it's everything up, it's sort of like twisted, it looks relaxed, it looks soft and sexy. Then you've got like the low pony, but where it's quite fluffy. So it's got that little bit of fluffy texture to it, quite soft, but still everything's really quite like dreamy and pretty. Nothing's harsh. The harshest look I'd probably say is like the low bun, which is really quite sleek. And it's that one where everyone looks at it and they can't work out how it's done. It's where it's like one way's twisted that way, one way's twisted there. And it's sort of like all, mixed around with it. that one's always a bit of like a, people don't quite know.
And we're going to talk
Um,
about that later. I'm going to show some of your work
oh,
to our
okay.
guests, our viewers. We'll get into, I know exactly what you're talking about, and
Yeah.
I have questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
So
So
yeah, so
that's,
that's one of your looks, and then the
yeah, that's a
pile
good one.
up and the big fluffy beautiful mermaid braid.
Yeah. Then you need a half up style, because half up's so
Of course,
popular, and
of
especially
course.
sort of like with younger, you know, people who don't feel like they want it all the way from their face, who still feel like they want that bit of security of the hair down.
Sure.
Because
Yep.
sometimes I think people are a little bit frightened of having a hair up. I think they're a bit like, no, I want my hair down, because they want to
It's
protect
true because
themselves.
it's all head shape and it's all face after that. And so you're
Exactly.
like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let me get some background."
Yeah, because you're a bit exposed, aren't you? It's like, I think
Yes,
it's quite like
absolutely.
when you're taking that all away from someone, they, like you say, you are just them face, aren't you? So, you know, it's quite like, for some people, it's a bit of a risk.
Yeah, it's not everybody is confident as others, and
Yes.
whether they are warranted to be or not, right?
Yeah.
You can tell some clients until you're blue in the face, oh my gosh, you're beautiful, and they'll still find everything
100%.
wrong with their face, you know. So
Yeah,
that
they will. They'll be like, no, no, I'm not pretty. And you're like, you are, you're stunning, you're gorgeous. Embrace it.
exactly.
But
So
yeah,
when you have someone that comes in with really thin like
okay.
hair, is that terrifying as a, because I know as a stylist, even, you know, that's one thing they complain about. Yeah. Like I can't
Yeah,
get volume. You know, oh my gosh, my hair is thinning around the hairline, what have you. And so
yeah.
when we're talking about updo styles, it's all about creating volume, or even if it's sleek, you still have density, or else
Hun-
you'll look bald, right? So
exactly.
what's your approach when the hair is fine?
So when the hair's fine, I'll obviously, like sit down with them and I'll ask them to show me what their sort of like images are, like a mood board. Like, what have you got? What's in your mind first? And then I'll sort of like, obviously, tactfully, I will, go through and say, okay, so if we look at this and we look at what we've got, we can obviously add a certain amount of hair, like extensions, weaves, whichever. But there will be a limit, like, so I think it's always be honest, but give passion, because
For
people are
sure.
sensitive about
Got to give
thin
them
hair.
grace.
Yeah, so I think always, sort of like give them that sort of like, because it's quite intimidating coming into a hair salon and someone's telling you, no, you can't have that. A lot of the time they'll come to me and they'll say, what do you suggest? What do you have? And then I'll take it from there really. And I could even sketch them a little picture and say, I'm thinking something like this, a bit of that. Or I've always got an iPad there that I'm ready to go, what about something like this? And now I can show sort of like some of my images and say, well, she's got lots of hair. And I'm like, but we can make yours. There's texture sprays, this powder, there's the way of creating illusion on thinner
Mhm.
hair to make
Absolutely.
it look like there's more. And I think it's what you, as a hairdresser, you've almost got to train your mind to see past that. A bit like, I always think like, an interior designer can walk into a house and it's like literally, all the walls are like falling
Mhm.
apart, but they can go potential.
Yeah,
And I
and as
think that,
hairdressers, we see a shape
yeah,
even when they don't, you know?
yes,
And that's the other part too, right? Is trust. They walk in, if
100%.
they walk in the door trusting
Yeah,
you as a stylist, then that makes it easier to
100,
kind of
yeah,
talk them into, mold them, if you will, into kind of
yes.
what we need them to be to create a successful look.
100%. I think that is it. And that's right. You've got to guide them in that right way. You've got to sort of, push them along that avenue and maybe sometimes take them out of their comfort zone and say, let's just try it, because you tend to have bridal trials, so, and that's what it's for. It's try something different. Try
Exactly.
something, out the box. If it's not what you want, we'll do another one. We could do 3 or 4. We can try
And that's what
whatever.
a
But
trial is, that's what a trial is for. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Make the
So
most of that trial.
what are some of the common mistakes that stylists make when doing bridal hair? Like how can they avoid those mistakes?
Over backcombing. Over backcombing is a massive one. When I've done like some of my master classes and stuff, they say, oh, you've not really backcombed that bit there. And I'm like, no, because I've used product there and, I've used powder. I'm like, you don't need to, like over, like really knot it all up. It's like, yes, sometimes we do need backcombing. We need it there for the structure. of the shape, but sometimes it can spoil a look because then you've got to, you know, rake it all out. You've got to use your tail comb to pull out all them little loops. So I think it's a big thing that we think when we see a hair up, we automatically think back comb it. And
Yes.
it's not always that case now, because I think there's again different trends and things, but people are wearing things a lot smoother in some
Yes.
respects and necessarily not as big. Like they might be piling it up, but we've not got that sort of like bouffant quiffness as much as what there probably was, you know, 5 or 6 years ago.
Correct. Yes. And so what would you say is the proper amount of backcombing, or better yet, in what scenario would you backcomb more or less?
Okay,
If the
so
hair
yeah, so I would backcomb more if you are going for something that is it's tricky, because what I'd tend to do is I'd always add powder, and then I always just lightly backcomb onto the powder. But especially if it's fine, I always keep the backcombing to a minimum, because we would assume fine hair, lots of backcombing. But then it's harder to cover because you've not got as much. So I'd probably backcomb more on thicker hair, because sometimes thick hair's got the weight, so it weighs down and you've not got that floatiness. So I'd
correct.
backcomb more on the thickness, whereas the finer hair, I'd backcomb, but I've added powder, and I'd do it very sort of like sparsely and build on it and keep thinking I can add a bit more, you know, rather than
That
and then you've
makes
got
perfect. Yeah, you explained that perfectly. Thank you. Because I think what I heard you say was, if it's fine, almost want to start off with product first to see what that can do, and then just kind of
yes,
build your backcombing into it from there, and incrementally. Like don't just go full on,
yes,
5 teases, like start with one, see
yeah,
what you got.
exactly.
Yes, and then with thicker hair, then you can probably get 3 teases in there to start and then go from there.
100%, because obviously the
Okay.
thick hair can handle it, can't it?
Yes.
You've also
Absolutely.
got that coverage after, because you can fan the hair out. You've got more to cover.
Correct. Can you share some tips of making hairstyles last through long events for like weddings or events, red carpet?
Yeah. So I always prep the hair first. So a big one of mine is I never work on dirty hair. You know, like people say, like, don't wash the hair. You know, come with it. You know, like, and I don't. I always blow dry the hair. So for instance, when I'm doing my friend's wedding, the night before, I'm doing her a big bouncy blow dry, because I want as much lift in there as possible. And then I also want to I'm going to tongue it with the tongs, pin it all in, so pin curl it, because then that's going to help to hold it and hold that shape, let it cool down. And I'm going to let her sleep like that, so she might not have a comfortable night's sleep, but you
Oh,
know,
the night before.
the night before. Yeah,
Ah, very nice. I like that. And what do you
yes.
think, real quick, and then we'll go on because I want to hear more about this, but why did hair need to be dirty to begin with?
I don't know, it's sort of like, it's a bit of a myth, I think, you know, like people would always say, like, oh, don't wash your hair if you're having a hair up, you know, don't come in with it dirty. And it's like
Yeah,
I've
that's
I've
always been a
never.
thing.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't get it. And I never have. So I've always said, since obviously, you know, like doing the hair ups, I've always said, no, I want to work on clean hair, because when I do my mannequins, they're clean. I've freshly washed and blow dried and styled them. And it works amazing. And since I've been doing that, I've had some absolutely beautiful results compared to before I was doing hair ups. And when I was, you know, made to do them in the salon, and I was freaking out and biting my nails in the back because I'm worrying, I was doing it on like 2-day-old hair. And I was finding it hard, because if you're trying to backcomb on hair that's got an amount of grease on it, it's not going to stay. It's going to slide straight out. It's
Yeah,
like
it seems like
conditioner.
it would be a slinky.
Yeah,
You're trying to get it to have volume, but it's slippery and
exactly.
sliding all over the place. Yeah.
100%. So
Well,
if
thank
I'm
God for debunking that myth. Good gracious.
exactly, yeah, get rid of that myth, throw it away. Because it's like this, if you start doing like, either what I'll do is as well, I'll book my clients in either the night before, or I book them in at slightly earlier, and I will do them a blow dry, and I'll do them a pin curl set and let it set, especially if it's going up. I let that set, let it cool, and then I'll take it out, and then I'll start my hair up.
Oh my gosh, you just dropped a bomb. That's amazing. I don't think
No
I've
problem.
ever done that or known anyone to do that. That's it. That is so smart.
Well, it's
Like light bulb, ding, ding, ding,
yeah,
ding.
and it's also a great moneymaker as well for salons, because if you're doing the, you know, the blow dry the night before, you know, that's also you're charging for another service as well. So you
That's
can put
what
it
I
in a
was going to
package.
ask you. Is that an upcharge when you do that?
So yeah, it would be, so like I'd probably do it like in the package, you know, like, and I'd say what I'd recommend is, you know, like having the blow dry before, so it's, you know, this package, and then that's what they'll buy that package, which
And anytime you tell them you're for best results, this is what I recommend. That's a
exactly
no-brainer for them. They're like, well, I don't want to not have the best result, right?
100%, like everyone wants to feel amazing on their wedding day, so they're not going to say, don't bother. They're
Yeah,
going to say, yeah, I
that's
want that.
of
I
course.
want that. So
Sign me up. They've already spent money they didn't have. You know, why not
yeah,
throw that in there too?
do some more.
Let's talk about your mannequin work and some of your brand deals. Now that we know why and how you're so amazing.
Thank you.
It seems you have a brand deal with a mannequin company. Can you tell us more about that partnership and how it benefits your work?
So I basically, the first mannequin I ever bought was one of the Limage mannequin heads, which I believe is a German company. And I'd basically seen them on Instagram, and I'd seen them for a few years.
How
And
do you spell that, Joseph? How are you spelling that?
it's L apostrophe I
Image?
am, yeah,
Oh,
Limage.
wow. Okay. Okay. Got it.
Image. I think it's, I don't know. I don't really
I
know
mean,
where
your
the,
mannequins look sturdy. They have shoulders. I mean, like
oh,
like where do we get this mannequin?
they are good. To say like what I used when I was training, you know, like was nothing like this. You know,
Terrible.
these are elite. These are like the new wave.
And I would imagine they're high end expensive.
They are, and that's why when I bought my first one, I actually went to my mum and dad, because obviously I was furloughed, so which meant that in the UK, you know, obviously we only got a certain
Yep.
wage.
Yep.
So I went to my mum and dad, and I was like, "This is what I want to do. How about, you know, you sub me, and I'll pay you back when I can."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's like, "We'll get you one. We'll get you one if that's what you want to do. We'll get you one." And it's like, "Thank you." And there's like, "How much is it?" And I was like, 330. And I was, and so we ordered one,
And they
and
gasp like,
yeah, I think they was
yeah.
like, yeah, maybe not. But they was very nice to get me one, and yeah, and when she came, that just ignited it all. And they are,
$300. So is that
yeah.
like so for $300, how often are we using this gal? How often
How?
are we using her? The
So
mannequin.
I've still got my first one, but I was using her every day. I was using it
Okay,
every
so
day.
you kept that length and like I'm gonna just because you do updo,
Yeah.
you're not cutting her hair, for example, or coloring her
Yes.
hair, or are you coloring? Because some of
I
your
color.
styles look beautifully colored.
Yeah, yeah. So I always color them. So when I get them, I always put in, because I want them to look as real as possible. So that might be, you know, putting a little bit of a root there, putting some low lights in the blonde.
Okay,
I always tone the blonde as well, because it does come quite like a golden blonde.
gotcha.
And so I'll either mute it slightly, make it a bit more, you know, sort of like beigey or a bit more ash, and put some low lights in there. And the first one that I've got, she has now got a bob, but she's still benefiting me because that's what I do my short hair ups on.
Yeah, smart, smart. And that hair has gotta be like your hair. It's gotta be like full voluminous, the best
There we go.
quality ever
Exactly.
for
Exactly.
300.
Yes.
So
So
did they come to you after they saw, obviously, you're using their mannequin?
yeah.
Did that
So
form the partnership?
I started obviously tagging them in it, and that's obviously how they, you know, was aware I was tagging my work. And I was obviously constantly posting, you know, every time I'd do a style, I'd put it on. And I basically actually went to order another one, and they said, you know, there's like, don't buy from us, get in touch with, and they called Equip the Creative, and they're basically here in the UK. Because when I was ordering from Germany, I was having to pay like an importation tax as well. So, because obviously the UK is not in the EU anymore, so you had to pay to get things in. So 330 plus something like, you know,
Ooh,
50, 70 pounds importation. So it's a
yeah.
lot.
Yes.
So there was like, don't order from us, get in touch with Equip the Creative. So I got in touch with them. and they said, we'll send you one. And I was like, oh, how lovely, thank you very much. And there was like, then they got in touch, and there was like, don't, you know, like, there's like, whenever you want one, let us know. And there's like, if you want anything else from us, let us know. And they do something called YS Park, which is like the combs and
Yeah, the cone.
yeah. And you see, obviously here in the UK, because I think, is that an American company, YS Park?
Well, I think it's a Japanese or
Is it?
Korean, or I think it's Korean. I
Is
think.
it?
Sorry. You know,
Yeah, I
cone
think
line. I can't. It's YSL, right?
YS Park, I think, isn't it?
YS Park, and that's why I didn't say it, because you know
Yeah,
I have Yves Saint Laurent in my mind
yeah,
because and I said I know I'm going to mess that up, so let's just not say it.
yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
YS
yeah,
Park, correct?
YS Park.
Yes, and I know for a fact now that's Korean, because Park
Is it?
is definitely a Korean name.
Right. So,
Yeah.
they're obviously, there's no distributor here in the UK. So everything that comes in from other countries goes to the creative, and then they distribute. So there was like, they've sent me so much
I
of
mean,
my
do you
kit.
hear that, newbies who I'm so passionate about helping? A brand deal, post them, tag your work, do beautiful work,
100%.
tag them, and you can at least get your foot in the door.
100%. Like basically I ordered something, a brand that's over here. It's called Mark Hill, and they've got like different hot tools and stuff. And I bought one, and I tagged myself in it, actually doing my own hair. And then I've done photo shoots with them. I've done TikTok lives for them. I've done campaigns for them for different, you know, work that they've had. I've done so much with them, and that was literally from tagging them, and it's just how they got to see me.
Gosh, that's oh
So
my gosh, that's inspiring.
yeah, so
That is so inspiring.
I think if you like invest a little bit in yourself and your kit and things like that, you know, like, and think, right, I'm going to buy myself that, you know, like, and then start tagging that company in. I think that's how they get to see you, you know,
Yeah,
and
and that's how brands make money today.
yeah,
People don't come to them anymore. They have to reach out to influencers, you know,
yeah,
and make money that way. That's how they get the attention of the masses.
100%, definitely.
So
It is.
Your AI work, you
Okay.
know, I should, you know what? In fact, let's post some of your work as we're talking
Okay.
about this, because some of it, let's see. See, this is what happens when you try to see when you can't see. You're trying to be cute because you're on camera, but you're blind. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
So talk to me about this one. Because
Okay.
her face clearly
Yes.
looks AI generated. Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
I have got, so what I do is, and that's why I always post the video as well. So you know that I have created the hair.
Yes.
But the face, and obviously the clothes and the breasts that she has, I have used Photoshop to create that. And I basically have used a body from AI that is just a standard body that I then superimpose onto my mannequin. So the hair is mine. The face is somewhat the mannequin's, but she's been enhanced with a little bit of filler here and there and a bit more makeup.
Do you worry, Joseph, that people are gonna think the whole thing, even the hair,
Yeah,
is
definitely.
AI?
100%. That, you know, especially because AI is becoming so big, and we don't even know now sometimes, is it AI, is it real? Even down to singers' voices, you know, when you hear songs and you're like, they didn't sing that. So
That's
AI is
scary.
getting massive. It's very scary. And I think that's why I always put my video on, because I want everyone to see I have created the hair. This is my work. It's just, rather than you looking at it on a mannequin that's, you know, on a stand, you're looking at it as though it's a real person. Because pictures, when I obviously first started and I didn't, you know, make them look lifelike, they did okay, but people didn't respond like they responded to seeing a real person.
Interesting. So when you do it this way, for
Yes.
example, like
Mm-hmm.
this, then it's
Yep.
kind of like meh. And then you put this one on, they're like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
respond.
Yeah, so like people, so tend to, like, even like with this one, obviously I've still given her, you know, sort of like
A little bit of
with the
makeup.
arm, a little bit of makeup, the arm, but people respond better to when they can see themselves as that, you know, when they think,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? When they can see themselves in the picture, or, you know, or, I mean, you always get negativity with anything that's on socials, but so there is the odd people who say, oh, it looks like a Barbie doll, but I'm not saying that this is what a woman's got to look like. I'm just saying it's like a photo shoot, you know?
Yeah, it's your finished product and
Yes,
how you wanna showcase your work. And clearly,
correct.
you guys, I can tell you, because 'cause I'm gonna show you this.
Do perfect for bridesmaids. I'm going to show you exactly how to achieve it. We're going to start by taking a section on the top of the head. We're then going to band it and clip it out the way. Then take another section below the ponytail, band together, leaving a loop at the end. Then thread the first ponytail through the loop of the second ponytail. Pull the ponytail to tighten into place. Then loosen off the crown to give texture and movement to the hair. Then to add a little more detail, I'm using the Weave It to give a soft draped effect. I then make a few minor little tweaks before misting with shine spray and hairspray to set into place. And there you have it, one super quick, super easy, half up style that's perfect for a bridesmaid.
First of all, that is not easy, and if I did it, it would not be quick. So, but I wanted to share that, obviously, to show people, if they didn't already know, like, clearly, I mean, you're not posting AI stuff. So
No.
let's talk about your work real here. Like, this is
Yes.
an example of one of your go-tos, a mermaid
Yes.
braid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is it's like a faux braid because I've not actually braided. I've you know, combined the hair together in different sections to give the illusion of a braid.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And
So
I've
it's
never been, by the way, good at updos. I'm the worst. Like
really,
bridal styles, the worst, because you need such an eye. I feel like that's a specialty. You know
yes,
what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like you need an
yeah.
eye, and you need to match skills with that creativity, you know?
100%. I think it is all about sort of like, again, looking at what you've got and what you can create, and how you can get the hair to move. I mean, I do generally, I live and breathe hair. Like, I really enjoy it so much, and I've got such a passion for it. Because it's like, even when I'm sat down and I'm just watching something regular on the television, I'm looking at the hair. I'm like, how have they done that? How have they,
That's true.
or, like, oh, they've cut that round there. Why would they have done that? You know, like, and I'm dissecting it all. My brain never stops.
100%. I just do that with cutting. Cutting is
Yeah.
my specialty, and I say this often, I'm in the grocery store. She's leaning down, putting her groceries in the cart, and I'm like, "Ooh, can I just?"
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That is exactly it.
Yeah, and you're right. Like you look at styles, and the more complicated they look, the more I think viable you become as the artist behind that look,
Yeah,
because it's not
definitely.
something that they or most people can do, you know? So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, like for
definitely.
example, you were talking about that shorter look, and I
Yes.
I think I have that. This one.
Yes. Yeah, the braided half up style. Yes.
And you made
Um
it look so long and full and thick.
exactly. Exactly. That's again, this is my second mannequin that I ever had. So she's again 4 years old. And I've only just literally the other week cut her shorter. So, and it still, look how amazing the hair still looks. It still looks really
It's
healthy, you
crazy.
know. Yeah, and but yeah, this look again, this is just something that I sort of like, because shorter hair is limited to what hair ups they can have. So I was just playing around. I was like, what can I create? And obviously it was off camera, and I just sort of like had a bit of a play, and I was like, oh yeah, I quite like that. And I started braiding. Then I thought, what can I do to the sides to incorporate that? And then it came together, and I was like, boom, I've got it. It's like
And that's
almost like,
an original style.
yeah,
No one
exactly.
brought
That's
their
just
Pinterest photo in. Nobody.
no.
Oh my gosh, you are a master of your craft.
I was
I
literally
can't
just
say that
watching
enough.
that, and I was just like playing with it, you know, like just thinking, oh, how can I make a half up style on a bob, a long bob, you know, but make it really like effortless and dreamy and beautiful.
Wow. And that it is. And this, you were
Thank you.
talking about more of the sleek
Yes.
styles. And so this look you wouldn't put on somebody with fine hair.
No, this one
No,
would be,
because
have
of
to
the
be someone.
ponytail.
Yes, definitely. The only way that I would do that is if I was doing it on someone with fine hair, would be I'd be adding in the ponytail. So I'd be literally doing all the scraping back, scraping that all back into one ponytail, and then a whole ponytail would be added on. So it would be a bit of a cheat, really, because obviously where you can see that the bounce of the ponytail, that would all be from extensions.
So, but you wouldn't worry about the head shape or what's lying against the head.
Yes.
Like being able to, the density part of that.
Yeah. So do you mean as in, would I worry that
scalp, you know,
Yes.
like making it collapsing it, it would collapse so much that
Yes.
it could
So-
look bald, you know?
Yes. So in some instances, you know, where people are slightly finer on the recession line, that's when I've used things like, you know, the root touch-up spray.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I can spray that into some little gaps, you know, to soften it off. Obviously, if it was severe, then the style would be a no-go. But if it's someone, you know, because a lot of ladies tend to, you know, get sort of like finer around the hairline.
Correct.
And it can sometimes put them away from a style like that. But there is sort of options where you can say, well, we could fill it in with a little bit of the colour wow, you know, root touch up and just sort of like soften it, you know, any scalp lines, because no one wants to see scalp. Even some people with like the longest hair, just it can be fine. And you can struggle with sort of like being able to see the scalp. So it's trying to work a way around that, really.
Ah, so you've given us fine hair gals some hope. So
yes, there's always some hope.
It's not hopeless.
No, definitely not. There's always hope. There is.
Is this an
Definitely.
original style? Is this something you just played around with? And
so I think this is.
And how long does this take? I know we've got this on what do you call it? We sped it up a bit.
Sped it up, yeah. So the thing is, that's quite like the one there is an older clip that I think I've reposted. But I did used to do them really quite fast, where I've tried to slow them down a little bit now, so more people can, you know, follow and grasp, and also get a little bit more of how long it would take.
Yes.
I mean, this one from conception to there, I'd say, you know, I'd probably worked on it for around about like an hour or so, because I'm playing with it before I film it. So, but the actual updo part of this, I'd probably say half an hour to 45 minutes.
So if you're doing a wedding, you can bust out a style like this in about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it looks just gorgeous. And like it looks complicated and gorgeous.
Yeah, exactly. So like for a wedding, what I do is if I've got several bridesmaids and a bride, I prep them all. So I'll have them all washed, blow dried and curled, you know, into whatever degree of curl they're having. And then I can literally go through, and out of those 5 looks, depending which one they're sort of having, I can be like, right, this, next one.
So on somebody like this, with this type of thickness and density, what did you do to the base?
So for the base of this one, I always use like a dry texture spray.
Gotcha.
That always goes on. And I also use, there's an amazing product by Colour Wow, which is called Style on Steroids. And I always spray that onto dry hair before curling. It holds the curl amazing. It's a game changer for it. And so, yeah, so that goes on. I curl it all. I let it cool down before I touch it. I don't go in while the curls are still warm, because then that's when you start breaking away. So I let it sit, and that's why I go on to the next bridesmaid or the next, you know, next look. I let that cool down before I then go in with the hair up.
And proper sitting time would be minimum, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, minimum 5 minutes. But what you can do to speed that up is, you know, the diffuser on the hairdryer, put that on cold and low speed, and just, you know, circular motions around, just to sort of like cool that down. That just encourages to be a bit cooler. And then, so yeah, so 5 minutes, just doing that. If you've not got another bridesmaid to work on, you just want to work on that. Yeah.
So this is one of those sleek styles that you said,
Yes.
where it's windy, wound and about, and you don't know
Yes.
where it begins or ends.
Exactly. Yeah. So like this one, obviously, you sort of like, I'm really trying to simplify this kind of hair up by two bobbles, flipping it under itself, and then smoothing that over the top. Like you can see there, I've used like I'm very unconventional with products. Like the products I'm using here are not actually designed for that. That's a heat protector, but I actually found by using that, it actually almost slicks down the hair and it gives it a new texture. So it gives it that, not a wet look, but more of that sheen to it, and it stays.
Yeah, because the wet look scares me because it looks good for about 10 seconds and then it starts to split, look gappy.
Exactly. So something like this, it doesn't dry into there because it's got no hold. So I overspray it. What you would, if you was a heat protector, a couple of mists and you're done. But to use it for that particular look, I'm spraying extra onto the hair, combing it in, and then that stays on the hair and it stays in that form because it doesn't dry off.
How do you know when to use a comb versus a brush? Is it just a feel? You just
so I tend to use a comb all the time because I find that you've got more control with the comb.
Gotcha.
But I don't just use one type of comb. I have got 4 different types of comb that I use. That being, like depending on what I'm doing, I've got a back combing comb. I've got a really fine tooth wire part comb, which is for all the little details. A 3-pronged comb. Is it called a teasing comb?
Yes.
It's got the 3 prongs.
Yep.
That's great for, like, again, really intricate detail, and is a really good like mistake corrector. If you've sort of like, pulled a bit too much hair out, that's really good for, you've got to have patience, but really just combing those hairs back into place. It's such a comb that I think gets overlooked a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
So last clip is this one because I thought this is so cool. Do you actually have this, and does it actually work? Because let me tell you something about me, Joseph. I am gadget girl. Give me a gadget, I'm going to buy it. And I would say 20% of the things I've purchased, I actually use, sadly.
Yes. So this here, I don't have one because obviously it's not my salon, so I can't do that. But at home, it wouldn't fit on the chair that I've got in my dressing room. However, I do know Gary, who has got that, and it is amazing. And I would like to get a chair so I can get one of them on it.
Yeah, you're like ASAP. I love it.
Get me one of them now.
You're like today.
Yes, exactly.
So we're going to talk about your social media and that engagement. You showcase tons of images on yours. I mean, it was like trying to find, showcasing your work today. I couldn't stop. Normally I only do 3. You notice with you, I did like 6 because I'm like, oh my gosh, should I do this one? This one? Like it's all just so precise and just so perfect. It's craziness. So Joseph, in this world of social media where some of it is smoke and mirrors, some of it is true, some of it is not, which is why I wanted to make sure I showcased and shared your perspective on AI and how you use it, just so that it's clear, right? Because most people, especially the younger generation, they believe nothing. Everything's fake, right?
Yes.
And so how with social media, I find, and I'm new here. So again, I want to thank you again for giving me an opportunity to collaborate with you because you're further along in your social media journey than I am. And some people don't respond at all, which I find that's a whole nother topic. I could do a whole show on the class system.
Yes.
Social media has a class system. I've concluded. And I, behind the scenes, have talked to amazing stylists who are talented, right? But they don't have the biggest following, but they're
No,
more
correct. Yeah.
talented. So some of it is political, some of it is branding, brand deals. You know, who
Yeah.
you're affiliated with determines your worth and value, which for me is it's cool, but it's also kind of sad. So
Yeah.
what is your take, and how important do you think social media is for the modern hairdresser?
I was talking about this the other day. I think that social media can get a little bit of a bad rep in some ways, but I think it's so important because it's got everything there for it, especially for hairdressers. As in, if you wanted to look at how to do a fishtail braid, you could type in YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and you could find that video and you could learn for yourself. Whereas if you think back to when I was growing up, Google, you know, sort of like had only just sort of come out. If you were typing in fishtail braid, who knows what you'd have got come up, you know?
You would have got an
Whereas,
actual fish.
exactly, yeah. Exactly. So
Right.
I think it's so important. But it's like, and I think it's also so important, like on there to be kind and to, you know, respond to each other, no matter how many followers you've got, whether you've got
Yeah.
1,000, 200, or whether you've got 1,000,000 or whatever, you know, to just everyone's doing this together. And I think I have that sense of community because I've been there where, you know, when I was looking at other people's work and I'd send like a message of like, oh, can you please tell me how you'd create this? And you'd never hear back.
I
So I
know.
make it my mission to any message that I get, I will respond. Whether, you know, if someone says, can you show me how to do this? I'll try and get them a video out by the end of the week. I'll do that because I think I want to give back how, you know, and so that they can then give back to someone else, you know.
And you are a part of my tribe, I call it, because you have all of these different mindsets, right? And
Yeah,
so just like you build a clientele, just like you build friendship groups, you know, people flock together, people who are like-minded,
yeah,
almost cultivate your own community, which is what the current stage I'm in.
yeah,
I'm connecting with people who have the same POV as I do. You know, so it's
yeah,
at first I was mad, right? I was like, oh, how dare that person not respond? You know, but
yeah,
I'm like, who am I? I'm a blip in their world. You know, if they don't respond, it could be for whatever reason.
yeah,
So I have learned to use social media for the good. And I've
100%,
learned to treat it like I've always treated my clientele. I don't worry about who's not in my chair. I cater to the ones who are. And that's
100%,
kind of what I'm
definitely.
doing with my show. I'm not going to worry about who's not here. I'm going to champion the person next to me on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. That is so good because that is an amazing ethos to have. And if everyone was like that, how amazing, you
It
know,
could be something great, right? Except they're not.
exactly, you
Yeah.
know, so
So do
we
you
work
have,
with what we've got.
yeah, well, that's true. What do you do to keep engagement on your media and to attract new followers? Or do you even care that you have followers or no? I mean, because you have a pretty big following.
Yeah, yeah. I think, well, you know, when I started it, it was only, again, it was in COVID. It was just, I thought, well, I can do it. So I want to show other people they can do it, you know, and I didn't really think it would do anything. It was something to pass the time because I was trapped at home, just me and my dog, you know, and so it was like a walk back, nothing to do. So that's why I did that. And it gradually grew and my skills started getting better at the same time because I kept pushing myself. Like I was like, right, well, I've done, you know, this low bun. I want to do a high bun now, or I want to do this braid, or, you know, I want to do a fishtail braid, I want to do a mermaid braid. And I kept pushing myself. So I was growing as a hairdresser and getting better as my following was growing.
You
So it
know,
was
I
like,
think that's interesting too with the following and the comments, minus the mean comments, but even including the mean comments, right? Because
yeah,
as a business, that's why they send those surveys.
yeah,
It's your opportunity if you have the right perspective, right?
mm-hmm,
To get feedback, and that feedback, even if it's bad, it actually makes you sharpen your skills because you
yeah.
never want to hear that or feel that way about your work again. So you're going to go back, sharpen your skills, right?
Yeah, 100%. So like when people have said to me like, this is awful, or this is someone put recently, this is so boring. So I responded back.
Okay, first of all, no. Where if I saw that comment, because I go in,
Yeah. So
I'm like,
my
are you joking?
it does make you feel like that, and it is really like it does, you know, sort of like cut where you think, oh, but not
Yeah.
everyone's going to like everything. So you sort of, I think if you're going to do social media, you've got to have, you know, tough skin, because you've got to think no. So I always respond, what would you do differently? How would you make it better? And or you know, like
What was their reply?
they never replied.
Of course they didn't.
They never
Just
replied
a little
because
troll.
exactly. And but I would love them to, you know, I'd love them to say, you know, why don't you try doing this or this, or I want to see you do this. Constructive criticism, I'm here for it. You know, that's how we grow. We grow through people saying, have you tried doing it like this? And I'd go, no, I've not, but I'll try it. I'm up for trying anything.
I liken it to fans who are watching a sport, having never played the sport ever, or
Yes.
even if they did, they weren't good enough to be a professional, but they're out there ripping apart
Yeah.
somebody that's made it to the highest level. Even the one sitting on the bench is better than you, but
Yeah.
I digress.
Yes, but that's very true, and that's what it is like. And you just have to take it in and think, right, okay, well, why could it be boring, you know, and just grow from it.
And
I mean,
for
I
me,
don't think
if it is
so.
boring, say, for example, if you're so bored, just keep scrolling.
Yeah, scroll past. Yeah.
Why even
You know,
stop? Click
yeah,
on this to click on that to say that,
I
and then
know.
to hit send. Like, why? What a waste of your time if it's so boring.
Exactly.
I just don't get it. But I
No,
appreciate who you are on social media, and you're going to be a great example to that next generation of how to move
thank you.
in that space. So we need more of you.
Thank
You,
you.
with your wealth of experience, what advice would you give to new hairdressers who are just starting out?
I think to just have a passion and have that want to do hair and want to, you know, succeed. Because I think we're really good at a job when you love it. And I think if you love what you do, you'll always make a fantastic hairdresser. And it's consistency and learning and growing. It's very cliche, but they always say you never stop learning, and it's very true. Trends are changing all the time. So I think just always keep pushing yourself. I keep pushing myself, you know, and I'm always trying to learn new things. And I think that is it really. And just enjoy it.
Who do
Enjoy
you
doing
learn
it.
from? Are there any particular courses or training programs that you would recommend, or that you train with yourself, or are you so far along that maybe you're now the trainer, you
So
know, who
yeah, so I do.
inspires you?
So there's all sorts of people that inspire me. Obviously, like from years and years ago, there were, and he still is around now. Patrick Cameron, he does.
Oh my
He's got,
God.
yeah, exactly,
Insane.
exactly. So
Insane.
he's got some amazing work that you can, you know, you can go on his site and you can watch. And it's necessarily like you can go on there and you can pick stuff off of there that you don't necessarily have to copy, but you could think, look how he's got that to stand up like that. I need to do that to get this
I think,
particular bit to work.
Joseph, what would be a really good class for someone if you are
Yeah,
going to go into education is just
yeah.
a whole class on bobby pin work,
There we go. I could do
because
that.
it's again an afterthought, oh,
Yeah,
you create this beautiful mold and then you just stick the bobby pin in, but you
yeah.
don't just stick that bobby pin in. I
No,
think there's a whole science behind that bobby pin doing understanding the assignment, if you will.
definitely. Well, I do master classes. I do when I can fit them in. That's the thing. I've done about 4 this year so far. I did a couple in Ireland, and I've hopefully got some more coming up. But what I always teach them on that is I call it the anchor, and that's how you put the grip in, and it's where you push in, up, and down, and you sort of like give it that sort of like almost threading it,
For
like
sure.
you would do like a needle, and then that really sets it in. Because one of my biggest bugbears is when you can see grips. I'm always like, we don't want to see any. We don't want to see grips or pins. Let's,
Are we still bending back one of those sides? Are we still doing that, or don't need
depends sort
to?
of
Because I
like,
see people just stick a bunch of bobby pins in, and
yeah,
and then they just start sliding them all in at the same time.
yeah. So you can. I tend to use these strong hairpins by Marco Arena.
Okay.
and they're really sturdy. So you can't actually bend them very
I
easily.
see.
But when
Gotcha.
you put them in and you do the weave and you push in, it's not going out.
They
That's
stay.
staying in until you pull that out. It's going to stay. They're a good pin,
Well, I
definitely.
can't wait to see what you do with your education. I mean, I definitely will be signing up because I've just always wanted to know. And I don't like that I never perfected that. I'm like, I won't leave this industry until I can do what you're up to. What are some of
Definitely.
the biggest challenges you faced in your career and how did you overcome those?
I think imposter syndrome is one of the biggest challenges that I've ever faced and still face. It's not something that I've um, mastered yet. It comes in waves. Sometimes I have it and I think I'm no good at this, and you get that sort of like terror and you think I'm a fraud. I can't do it. People's going to, think I'm a fraud and I'm too bothered about that type of thing. But then sometimes I can pull it together and I really have to. I think it's
Yeah.
so many people do have that.
Yes, it's true.
So I think it is really important to try and just have
Yes,
belief. But that is one of the biggest things that
absolutely.
I'm overcoming. I've not overcome it. I'm
Perfect.
overcoming that. I'm
Well, I
working
think
on it.
that if we never get there, we're always striving and getting better and stronger. So I like that part. Can you share a particularly rewarding moment or
So,
success story for you in your career?
so I've got two really big ones for me. So one was so I have won the British Hairdressing Awards, which is like the biggest. I didn't win the big one. I won Eastern Hairdresser of the Year, and I won that 3 times. So I got to go into the Hall of Fame, and that was amazing.
Um,
Thank you very much. So
Congratulations.
yeah,
That
so
is
yeah, so that's really for me. That was my goal that I set out to when I started hairdressing. I was like, I want to be at the British Hairdressing Awards. I want to be on that stage and I want to win it. That was such a big highlight. But I did that with another girl at the salon and we did that together and we won it 3 times together. But then a real special moment for me was last year for the National Hair and Beauty Federation, which we have here. They did the top influencers awards, top 100 influencers, and I came second. And that was amazing for me because I was up there with some massive names, like huge names in hairdressing. And to get number 2 and for it to be on my own as well, and just me, and just for what I do on social media was amazing.
well, if that
And
doesn't blow your imposter syndrome all the way
well,
out of the water onto the shore, buried under the sand, then I don't know
let's
what
hope so.
does.
But yeah,
Yeah,
so
because that's incredible. And I know what the prestige behind winning British Hairdresser of the Year, because way back when I worked for Tony and Guy, Anthony
yes,
Mascolo, one of the
correct.
brothers, he won it every year for like 5 years
Yeah,
straight for hair cutting and hairdressing. So
yes,
I
yeah,
remember what a big, big, big deal that is. And me
yeah.
personally, no shade to America, but I find that the best hairdressers are actually in Europe. They are the
Oh,
best
okay.
to me when I line everybody up. I think the
Wow.
influence, rather, not that
Yeah,
we here can't achieve that, but I
yeah,
think the influence and where it starts is there and then it comes here versus being
yes,
the other way around. And that's just
yeah.
what I've seen in the
Okay.
last 29 years. So kudos to you over there for keeping it's strong. So
Yeah.
what trends do you see emerging in bridal hairstyling and how are you preparing for those trends?
So I always look at sort of like fashion weeks when they're on, and I see sort of like what the vibe is,
And don't you
what's
feel I have a saying, hair mimics fashion. Always.
100%,
Do you
100%,
agree?
definitely,
Okay, good.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like because it will tailor what goes with that, and how it will look with a particular style of outfit, particular style of wedding dress, like depending what's going to be in. So I always tend to as well. I look at sort of like bridal dress shows, like what are the brides wearing with these new dresses that's coming out? Because these new dresses are going to be brides for 2025 or 2026, depend, when they get in the dress. So I'm always looking at that. Predictions wise, I think everything's everything's merged a little bit 90s, as in sort of like 90s, but 2024. So we're getting a lot of sort of like bigger, sort of like as in height on top. People are getting braver with that. So I think that's definitely going to progress forward. But at the same time, people love a really nice, sleek, polished look, and that's timeless. You know, you could have had that 10 years ago, you could have it now, and you could have it in another 10 years, because the sleek polishedness it's got something so classic about it, and like elegant, and that's what a bride wants to be.
Yeah, when you look at your photos 20 years from now, it's timeless. Yeah. And I see a future collab with, I'm manifesting this for you, Vera Ring and and Joseph Ianson.
Correct.
Yeah, see, I do. I was like, I'm going to say it wrong or right?
No,
yeah.
You got it
Am
right.
I close? Okay.
Yeah, you got it right.
And what are your future goals to wrap this up with your career and your brand? Like what's got you excited? Any new collaborations, that you're excited about other than this one with me?
Well, of course, this is, and I've really enjoyed today. It has been, really enjoyed talking with you. So it has been lovely.
Same.
And I think I want to keep growing. I want to keep challenging myself. I want to get better. And I think I'd love to eventually at some point have my own like product line, whether that be like brushes and tools. That is my main little goal that I want for me. I want to branch out into having my own.
And that's
styling.
doable. That's doable. Yeah. Look at Olivia Garden. Is it Garden or Garden?
Yeah.
I mean, that could easily be you. If it's been done, it could be done.
Exactly. That's what I'd like to do. That's where I'd like to go. But yeah, it's all just growth. That's what I want to do. I never want to be stagnant. I never want to stand still. I always want to, wherever I can, I want to keep achieving and, doing more, entering more, and
how long have you been in the industry?
So I've been with Mark Leeson for 17 years, but if you count being a Saturday boy, it's like 20. So
perfect. Then I'd say you're ready. You're
ready. Let's go.
Yes, let's do it. Thank you so much, Joseph, for lending me your time, because I do know how busy you must be in your life with all these exciting things going on. And as I end each episode, I like to do what I call, and again, I preface this with, it is corny AF, but so am I. But I call it the 60-second blowout.
Okay.
Fun.
Right. Yeah.
So I am going to set a timer for 60 seconds, put my big old glasses on, and then because I don't want to, we don't have time to waste.
No, gotta go for it. Get ready.
So then I'm going to set a timer, and what's your doggy's name?
His name's Bear. He's a Pomeranian, so he's he's tiny. He's like a little fluff ball.
Oh, so cute. Okay, Joseph, are you ready? Okay,
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite hair product?
Color Wow.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Morning person or night owl?
Night owl. Favorite
guilty pleasure TV show?
Melrose Place.
What's your hidden talent?
I've not got one.
Most unusual item in your hairdressing kit?
A makeup brush.
Go-to karaoke song?
Call Me by Blondie.
If you could have dinner with any celebrity, who would it be?
Cheryl Cole.
Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Flown to New Orleans on my own.
Favorite movie of all time?
Jawbreaker.
If you weren't a hairdresser, what would you be doing?
Oh my God. Photographer.
And now, finally, make your silliest selfie face. I love it. It shows how humble you are at the end when someone can just bust out a silly selfie face and not care that they're on camera. I love it. This was so much fun. This has been one of my best interviews so far. I so
Thank you.
appreciate you. And I hope that in the future, somewhere down the road, we can collab again in some way.
Yes, 100%. Definitely. I'd love that.
Absolutely. And I wish you, Joseph, the best week and the best in your career. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Yes. Bye.
Bye-bye.